Stop scrolling right now and stay with this story until the very end. Drop your thoughts as you listen, because what you're about to hear isn't just celebrity news. It's a quiet moment that spoke louder than applause, a decision that disappointed millions of fans, and a silence that raised more questions than any red carpet appearance ever could. The headline spread fast. Fans were stunned and frustrated when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce chose to skip the Grammy Awards together. For Taylor, the Grammys have long been more than an awards show. They are a familiar stage, a place of triumph, reinvention, and legacy. That's why the empty seat felt so loud. No surprise entrance, no shared smile, just absence. Almost immediately, speculation followed. Why would one of the most powerful couples in pop culture step back on a night built for visibility? Sources close to the situation point not to conflict, but to something far more subtle and far more human. Reports suggest Travis Kelce has felt quietly awkward navigating Taylor's inner circle, a tightly bonded group shaped by years of shared history, creativity, and trust. This wasn't about rejection. It wasn't about drama. It was about timing. Taylor's circle isn't just friends who show up for photos. They are collaborators, confidants, and witnesses to every era of her career. Entering that space requires more than confidence, it requires patience. And according to insiders, Travis, despite his public charm, is still finding his footing in a world that doesn't play by stadium rules. As this detail surfaced, fan reactions exploded. Some expressed disappointment, feeling robbed of a moment they had imagined for months. Others defended the couple, arguing that skipping the Grammys was a deliberate move to protect something real in a world that consumes everything. The debate intensified, pushing this story far beyond a simple no-show. Then the narrative shifted. Midway through the conversation, a new detail emerged, one that changed everything. Insiders revealed that the decision to miss the Grammys was mutual, carefully discussed, intentionally quiet. There was no scheduling conflict, no last-minute emergency, just a shared agreement that not every milestone needs to be shared with the world. This revelation reframed the silence. What looked like distance began to resemble boundaries. In an era where celebrity relationships are measured by appearances and posts, choosing absence became a statement in itself. The tempo of the story slowed, then surged again as fans re-examined every recent move, every subtle signal. And here's the payoff. After the Grammy night passed, sources say the couple appeared more aligned behind the scenes. No grand declarations, no viral moments, just consistency, just presence without performance. To some fans, that restraint felt unsatisfying. To others, it felt mature. So what does this really mean? Is the reported awkwardness with Taylor's inner circle a red flag, or simply a natural phase when two massive worlds collide? Relationships don't unfold on a red carpet timeline. They evolve quietly, unevenly, often away from cameras. The truth may be simpler than the speculation. Skipping the Grammys wasn't about what they avoided, it was about what they chose to protect. A relationship under relentless scrutiny doesn't always need more light. Sometimes it needs shade. Now it's your turn. Was this the right call, or did fans deserve that moment? Share your take, keep watching closely, and stay tuned, because in celebrity culture, the moments that don't happen often tell the biggest story of all. What followed in the days after the Grammys only deepened the intrigue. No clarification, no carefully worded statement, no subtle Instagram story to calm the noise. And in today's attention economy, that kind of silence feels intentional. Fans kept refreshing timelines, waiting for a sign that never came, while entertainment media quietly shifted tone, from shock to analysis, from disappointment to curiosity. Sources close to the situation began describing a pattern that had gone mostly unnoticed. Taylor and Travis, despite being one of the most talked about couples on the planet, had already started scaling back their public overlap weeks before Grammy night. Fewer joint appearances, more staggered schedules. Not avoidance, but adjustment. The kind that happens when two people realize that constant visibility can start to distort something fragile. Insiders describe Travis as respectful, almost overly cautious, around Taylor's long-established inner circle. These are people who've seen her through reinvention, backlash, triumph, and collapse. In that room, fame is background noise. History is the currency. For someone arriving from a completely different world, one defined by locker rooms, playbooks, and championship pressure, that transition isn't seamless. It's quiet, observational, sometimes uncomfortable. And that discomfort, according to those familiar with the dynamic, wasn't something Taylor wanted magnified under Grammy-level scrutiny. The awards show isn't just an industry event. It's a social ecosystem where every interaction becomes a freeze frame. One awkward pause can turn into a narrative. One misread expression can dominate headlines for weeks. Skipping the event eliminated that risk entirely. As this context surfaced, fan sentiment began to fracture in a more nuanced way. Some longtime supporters admitted they initially felt let down, but later reconsidered. Others doubled down, arguing that public figures owe their audience shared moments, especially when their success is built on connection. The comment sections turned into debates about access, entitlement, and where the line should be drawn. Then came another layer. Several outlets reported that the couple spent Grammy night privately, far from Los Angeles hotspots. No celebrity parties, no industry dinners, just distance from the noise. That detail didn't quiet the conversation, it intensified it, because it suggested not absence, but intention, a choice. By the end of the week, the story had evolved from "they skipped the Grammys" into something more complex. A case study in modern celebrity relationships. How do you stay visible without being consumed? How do you merge two massive identities without one eclipsing the other? And how do you do it while millions feel emotionally invested in every step? What's clear is this: the reported awkwardness isn't scandalous. It's transitional. It's what happens when admiration meets familiarity, when two worlds with different social languages begin to overlap. Not every moment is smooth. Not every room feels natural at first. And not every milestone needs witnesses. As attention slowly drifts toward what comes next, tour dates, playoff seasons, future appearances, the Grammy absence lingers as a quiet marker. A reminder that sometimes the most powerful statement a public couple can make is choosing not to perform their relationship on demand. And that's where this story leaves us. Not with a breakup rumor, not with a fairy tale moment, but with a pause, a controlled breath in a relationship unfolding under extreme pressure. So keep watching, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going, because the next time these two step into the spotlight together, it won't be accidental. As the days stretched into a full news cycle, one thing became impossible to ignore. The story refused to die. Not because of new drama, but because of what wasn't happening. No denial, no clarification, no glossy photo meant to reset the narrative. In an industry trained to respond instantly, the absence of response became the response itself. Entertainment analysts began reframing the situation less as a snub and more as a recalibration. Taylor Swift, long known for mastering the balance between vulnerability and control, has survived every phase of fame by knowing when to step forward and when to step back. Skipping the Grammys, according to several observers, fit that pattern perfectly. It wasn't avoidance, it was authorship. Behind the scenes, the pressure had reportedly been mounting. Taylor entered Grammy season already carrying the weight of historic expectations, while Travis Kelce was navigating a public role unlike anything he had faced before. On the field, scrutiny lasts 4 quarters. In pop culture, it never ends. Every glance is interpreted. Every silence is theorized. Those close to the couple describe Travis as hyper-aware of this difference. Confident in interviews, dominant in competition, yet noticeably reserved in intimate, celebrity-heavy social settings. Taylor's inner circle operates on shared memory, references that span decades, moments that never made headlines. For an outsider, even a welcomed one, that environment can feel closed without ever being unkind. The Grammys would have amplified that dynamic exponentially. Red carpets compress hours of social interaction into seconds of footage. A single misaligned moment, too quiet, too stiff, too unfamiliar, could have been dissected endlessly. Insiders suggest Taylor recognized that risk and chose prevention over damage control. As this interpretation gained traction, fan discourse subtly shifted. The anger softened. The disappointment matured into debate. Was it fair to expect access to every milestone? Or had celebrity culture quietly crossed a line, confusing support with ownership? The question lingered as more context emerged. Industry figures noted that Taylor had already secured her place in Grammy history. Attendance was symbolic, not necessary. Meanwhile, Travis had nothing to gain and much to lose by entering a space where he would be analyzed not for who he is, but for how well he fit. By the following week, the conversation had grown larger than the couple themselves. Commentators pointed to a broader trend: high-profile relationships increasingly resisting overexposure. In an era of constant documentation, privacy has become the ultimate luxury and the ultimate rebellion. Then came the detail that reframed everything once more. According to multiple reports, the couple spent the days after the Grammys reconnecting quietly, away from both Nashville and Los Angeles. No entourage, no spectacle, just normalcy as close as that's possible under global scrutiny. That choice stood in sharp contrast to the expectations placed on them, and made the earlier absence feel intentional, even protective. The narrative of awkwardness with Taylor's friends also began to evolve. Rather than tension, sources emphasized transition. Relationships don't instantly merge ecosystems. They overlap slowly, unevenly. Comfort is built in small rooms, not ballrooms. By now, the initial headline had transformed. This was no longer about skipping an awards show. It was about boundaries. About two people learning how to exist together without being consumed by the machinery surrounding them. And about fans confronting an uncomfortable truth. Not every chapter is meant to be shared in real time. As speculation cools and attention drifts toward future tours, playoff seasons, and potential appearances, one thing remains certain. The next time Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce step into the spotlight together, it won't be out of obligation. It will be deliberate. Until then, the silence continues. And in today's celebrity landscape, silence is never empty. It's loaded. What many people missed amid the noise was how calculated the timing really was. The Grammy season arrived at a moment when both worlds, music and sports, were colliding at full speed. Taylor Swift was closing one chapter of global dominance while quietly preparing the next. Travis Kelce was coming off a season where his name had expanded far beyond football. Visibility was no longer optional. It was overwhelming. Industry insiders described the weeks leading up to the Grammy Awards as unusually intense. Every invitation carried expectation. Every appearance risked becoming a referendum on the relationship itself. The couple wasn't just being watched, they were being measured. Body language, proximity, tone. Nothing escaped analysis. That level of scrutiny, sources say, began to reshape how they moved. Not out of fear, but out of self-preservation. Travis, accustomed to being judged on performance, reportedly struggled with a different kind of evaluation, one where there were no rules, no clear wins, and no way to correct the narrative once it took off. In Taylor's inner circle, nuance matters. Silence can mean comfort, not distance. But on camera, silence can be rewritten instantly. The Grammys represented the most concentrated version of that risk. A few hours in one room could generate weeks of speculation. And once a narrative forms, it rarely stays contained. Taylor has lived through that cycle before. She knows how quickly a harmless moment can become a headline, then a theory, then a judgment. That awareness, according to people familiar with her thinking, played a critical role. This wasn't about hiding a relationship. It was about refusing to let it be defined by a single night. Skipping the ceremony removed the pressure to perform happiness under fluorescent lights and forced the story to slow down, at least temporarily. Still, the fan reaction mattered. Taylor's audience is deeply invested, emotionally and historically. Many have grown up alongside her career, celebrating milestones as shared victories. The disappointment wasn't just about absence. It was about a broken ritual, a moment they had already imagined suddenly erased. As days passed, however, something interesting happened. Engagement didn't drop, it intensified. The lack of new material sent fans digging deeper into context, history, and patterns. Long-form discussions replaced quick takes. Instead of asking, "Where were they?" people began asking, "Why does this matter so much?" That question cut to the heart of modern celebrity culture. At what point does access turn into expectation? And when does admiration cross into entitlement? Commentators noted that Taylor's most stable relationships, romantic and otherwise, have always been the least public. The contrast felt intentional. The quieter the connection, the stronger it seemed to become. Travis, by all accounts, was learning that rhythm in real time. Not resisting it, but adjusting to it. Meanwhile, reports of awkwardness with Taylor's friends continued to circulate, often stripped of nuance. Those closest to the situation pushed back quietly, emphasizing that awkward didn't mean unwelcome. It meant new. It meant cautious. It meant two social ecosystems slowly learning each other's language. In private settings, that process is invisible. On a Grammy red carpet, it would have been magnified beyond recognition. By the time the story began to fade from headlines, it had already left a mark. Not as a scandal, but as a signal. A reminder that even at the highest level of fame, some decisions are made for reasons that don't translate cleanly into clickbait. And that's where the narrative settles, for now. No dramatic fallout. No sudden declarations. Just a relationship moving forward at its own pace, resisting the demand to turn every milestone into content. The next appearance, whenever it comes, will carry weight precisely because of this absence. And when that moment arrives, it won't just be seen, it will be felt. As the conversation cooled on the surface, it continued to burn underneath. Entertainment desks quietly noted how unusual it was for a story with this much traction to receive no official framing. No sources deny headline. No strategic leak to soften perception. That vacuum allowed the narrative to mature instead of explode, and in that space, interpretation became everything. Observers close to the industry began pointing out a crucial detail that many fans initially overlooked. This wasn't the first time Taylor Swift had chosen absence over spectacle. In previous eras, moments of intentional withdrawal often preceded recalibration, creative, emotional, or personal. Silence, in her history, has never been empty. It's been preparatory. For Travis Kelce, this phase reportedly marked a turning point. Friends describe him as increasingly aware that fame in pop culture operates on a different frequency than sports stardom. Wins and losses don't reset the conversation here. The story loops, context erodes, and once an image sticks, it's nearly impossible to dislodge. The Grammys would have locked that image in place. One night endlessly replayed. One version of him, standing slightly behind, slightly unsure, potentially becoming permanent. Those who understand Taylor's long-term thinking say that possibility mattered more than tradition. As weeks passed, subtle signals replaced headlines. Taylor appeared composed, focused, unbothered. Travis maintained his schedule without leaning into spectacle. No forced couple moments, no counter-programming. The restraint itself became the message. Fans began to split not along lines of loyalty, but philosophy. One side argued that public love stories thrive on shared milestones, and skipping them drains the magic. The other countered that real longevity rarely looks cinematic in real time. It looks quiet, uneventful, sometimes even disappointing, and yet interest never waned. In fact, the lack of visual confirmation heightened anticipation. Every future appearance now carries more weight because of what didn't happen. The Grammys became a reference point, a line dividing expectation from intention. Reports of Travis feeling out of sync within Taylor's inner circle also continued to circulate, but with growing nuance. Those familiar with the dynamic emphasized that these friendships are deeply layered, built over years of shared isolation at the top. Entry into that space isn't earned through status, but through time. No shortcuts exist, no matter how famous you are. What initially sounded like discomfort began to resemble respect. Rather than forcing familiarity, Travis reportedly chose observation, listening more than speaking, letting relationships develop organically instead of accelerating them for optics. In another context, that choice might go unnoticed. Under global scrutiny, it became a storyline, By now, the absence from the Grammy Awards had transformed from disappointment into symbol. A reminder that not every love story unfolds on cue. That sometimes the most authentic moments happen off-camera, and that resisting spectacle can be its own form of control. As media attention gradually shifted elsewhere, one truth remained clear. This wasn't a rupture. It wasn't retreat. It was recalibration. Two high-profile lives adjusting their overlap, choosing discretion over performance, and accepting that not every fan will understand that choice in real time. The payoff, if it comes, won't be loud. It won't be announced. It will arrive quietly, perhaps when expectations are lowest. And when it does, it will feel earned precisely because of this pause. Until then, the story holds in suspension. No closure, no climax, just a steady tension that keeps people watching. Not because of what's happening, but because of what might.